the second made, the choices he made. He made a choice to not deal with an unregistered vehicle citation that turned into a warrant. He made a choice when JJ turned on his police vehicle lights not to stop, not to pull over, and instead run. He made a choice after the first crash to continue running, leading these deputies on a 22-minute chase, sometimes over 110 miles an hour. He made a choice to continue running after the second crash. He made a choice at the third crash to get out of that vehicle without being ordered, and he had 6 seconds to comply with JJ's orders. He made a choice not to comply with those orders after that very serious pursuit. This case is about choices. He also made a choice to throw things out of the vehicle during the pursuit. He made a choice not to continue to take the medicine that was critical to keeping him alive. The evidence in this case, you'll see, is that his last medication refill was approximately 40 days prior to the date of the incident. All of his medicine was gone. The medicine that controlled his ability to breathe, his ability to function, his heart rate, his blood pressure. He was out of those meds for about 40 days. Even Dr. Pinkard, the medical examiner, will tell you that he cannot say that Mr. Ambler would be alive if Zach and JJ did not use force. During the course of this trial, you'll hear from government expert witnesses. They're going to be the only people that have anything bad to say about Zach and JJ. You're going to hear from a Dr. Freeman, who's going to tell you that Mr. Ambler was resisting arrest. And you'll hear from a man named Roger Clark, who will talk to you a lot about doctrine and how officers in Texas, under Texas standards, are trained to stay at their door and not move away from their door because the door has ballistic panels. But you'll also find out that that's not the case at all. Every officer that comes into this courtroom will tell you that in a dangerous situation, when they're dealing with a dangerous subject, the cuffs go on first, and then they deal with whatever medical issue presents. Which is exactly how Zach and JJ were trained, and is exactly what they did. And when they encountered what they recognized to be a medical situation, they immediately went into life-saving first aid procedures. There'll be a lot of talk about tasers during this trial. You'll come to understand tasers are a tool. It can help officers have to avoid going hands-on, but you'll learn tasers don't always work. Maybe about 50% of the time. You'll learn that if you have a lot of body fat on your body, the taser oftentimes will be ineffective. You'll learn that Mr. Ambler was not electrocuted. He was not tased to death. Only 2 probes hit him. Neither was anywhere near his heart. You'll not see any evidence of neuromuscular incapacitation, also known as NMI. You just won't see it. You won't see any evidence of 4 taser blasts. Only those 2 prongs entered Mr. Ambler for some period of time, but we know at least one of them fell out there at the scene, and you'll see evidence of that. You will not see any evidence that Mr. Ambler received 20 seconds of electricity. You'll meet Mark Sawa. Mark's a retired Travis County Sheriff's Office major. He's going to come in to talk to you about his analysis of what Zach and JJ did and their use of force. He's going to tell you what they did was reasonable, consistent with standards and training, and frankly that while no use of force is pretty, they did a good job. You'll meet Jason Evans. Jason will talk to you about some work he did with the videos to show you, for example, that there was items being thrown out of that white Honda Pilot during the pursuit. You'll meet the instructor who taught Zach and JJ how to use the taser. You'll conclude that Zach and JJ were not reckless. In fact, they were reasonable. And that everything they did was consistent with their training. You'll hear from Officer Neeson, who tried to help Zach and JJ. And you'll come to learn that even with 3 officers, they had to struggle against Mr. Ambler's strength. There'll be a lot of evidence admitted during the course of this trial. You'll learn that there was a live PD TV crew riding with Zach and JJ. You'll see them on the videos. But you'll learn that their video that might clearly exonerate Zach and JJ is not going to be presented because the district attorney's office sent the wrong subpoena. They sent an in-state subpoena to New York instead of an out-of-state subpoena. You'll learn that Mr. Ambler had 3 cell phones. Mark Sawa was going to tell you why those cell phones should have been downloaded and what information could come from that. But you'll learn those cell phones weren't downloaded. You'll come to understand that Mr. Ambler had this arrest warrant. And you'll find out that, in fact, he had a Fitbit that could have shown you his heart rate even before this pursuit started. And it could have shown you the heart rate during the first crash, and the second crash, and the third crash. You could have seen his heart rate before Zach and JJ were forced to go hands-on. But you're not going to see that. This was a tragedy, but it wasn't a crime. Given the totality of circumstances, everything these men did was reasonable, not reckless. And when you hear all the evidence, we're confident you'll return a verdict of not guilty. Thank you.